The incident took place in 1960, in a small village. A deeply religious family lived in that small village. There were two brothers in the family. The elder brother was named Hasan. He was around 14 or 15 years old. His younger brother was named Hossain, who was about 8 or 9 years old. There was a huge mango orchard right beside their house. During mango season, Hasan, Hossain, and many other children from the neighborhood would often go into the orchard to collect fallen mangoes. At the time this incident occurred, the mangoes were still unripe. They had not yet begun to ripen. Whenever a strong breeze blew through the orchard, the children would immediately run toward the mango trees, hoping that some green mangoes had fallen to the ground. This had been going on for several days. But then, something strange began happening. People started claiming that they had seen a mysterious woman inside the mango orchard. They could only see her from behind. No one had ever been able to see her face. Many people had seen the woman from a distance, walking slowly through the orchard. But whenever someone tried to approach her or speak to her, she would suddenly disappear. It was as if she had simply walked behind a tree and vanished. No one could ever find her again. The mango orchard was enormous, and there were hardly any houses near it. It was a quiet and isolated place. Some people had noticed the woman's hair. They said it was unbelievably long. Her hair reached almost all the way down to her feet, and as she walked through the orchard, her hair dragged along the ground behind her. Yet no one had ever seen her face. Now let us come to the main incident. One evening, Hasan and Hossain went into the mango orchard to collect mangoes. Usually, many children from the neighborhood would go there in the evening as well. And that day was no different. Several other children were also inside the orchard. As evening approached, the other children began preparing to leave. But Hasan and Hossain had not found a single mango. The other children had collected plenty of mangoes, but the two brothers had found nothing. Before leaving, the other children asked them, "Are you two not coming?" Hasan and Hossain replied, "We'll stay a little longer. You guys go ahead." They were disappointed because they had not found any mangoes. Everyone else was heading home with mangoes in their hands. The two brothers thought that if they stayed a little longer, perhaps another strong breeze would come and some mangoes would fall from the trees. Then they could collect them and go home. So, after hearing this, the other children left the orchard. That night, Hasan and Hossain's parents noticed that their two sons were still not home. They waited and waited, but the boys did not return. The parents became increasingly worried. They went to the houses of the neighbors whose children regularly played with Hasan and Hossain. When they asked the children about the two brothers, they learned that Hasan and Hossain had been seen inside the mango orchard after sunset. The children also told them that they had called out to the two brothers before leaving, and Hasan and Hossain had replied, "We'll stay a little longer." After hearing this, Hasan and Hossain's parents, along with several neighbors, took lanterns, torches, and whatever lights they could find and went into the mango orchard to search for the boys. Everyone searched the orchard. They searched the surrounding areas. They looked behind trees, around the bushes, and everywhere they thought the boys might have gone. But Hasan and Hossain were nowhere to be found. 1 day passed, then 2 days, then 3. 7 days passed, and eventually 10 days had gone by. Still, there was no sign of Hasan and Hossain. The disappearance of the two boys cast a deep shadow of grief over their family. But what had actually happened to them that night? Dear listeners, what happened that evening was something truly terrifying. That evening, after sunset, Hasan and Hossain were still inside the mango orchard, searching for mangoes. Suddenly, an old woman appeared in front of the two brothers. She was carrying several mangoes in her hands. At that time, there was no one else around. The old woman approached the two boys and said, "Do you want some mangoes? Look how many ripe mangoes I have." But there was something very strange about what she was saying. It wasn't mango season yet. The mangoes in the orchard were still completely green and unripe. Yet the woman was holding beautiful, ripe mangoes, large, juicy, and perfectly yellow. The moment Hasan and Hossain saw those ripe mangoes, they naturally became interested. They were children, after all. The woman looked at them and asked again, "Will you eat some?" The two brothers replied, "Yes, we will." And that was the moment their strange and terrifying journey began. Then the old woman gave the two brothers one mango each. As soon as they began eating the mangoes, something strange happened. The moment they bit into the fruit and swallowed it, both brothers suddenly lost consciousness. When they regained consciousness, they found themselves inside a small, rundown hut. The doors and windows of the hut were open. Nothing was locked or closed. The two brothers looked around and saw the old woman walking around outside the hut. As soon as she noticed that the boys had regained consciousness, she entered the hut. The moment the two brothers saw her face up close, they became terrified. Her appearance was horrifying and grotesque. The younger brother immediately burst into tears. "I want to go to my mother." The elder brother tried to remain calm and said, "Grandmother, please take us back to where you found us. Please take us home." But the old woman replied, "I didn't bring you here to take you back, my children. I brought you here to sacrifice you." She continued, "After a few days, at a particular auspicious moment, I will sacrifice you both, and by doing so, I will increase my power." Hearing this, both brothers began crying desperately. The old woman shouted at them and ordered them to stop crying. The elder brother eventually stopped, but the younger brother simply could not stop. Meanwhile, the old woman brought different kinds of fruits and gave them to the two boys. The elder brother ate 1 or 2 pieces of fruit, but the younger brother refused to eat anything. He simply kept crying. This made the old woman increasingly irritated. She repeatedly scolded the children and told them to stop crying. And so, one entire day passed. The next morning, the old woman told the two brothers, "Listen carefully. I'm going somewhere very far away today. You must not leave this hut under any circumstances." After saying this, she left. Once the old woman had gone, the two brothers realized that the doors and windows were completely open. They decided to try to escape. They quickly ran out of the hut, but the moment they stepped outside, they saw the old woman standing right there. She was standing just outside the house. The two brothers were terrified. They immediately ran back inside the hut. The old woman followed them and angrily scolded them. "Didn't I tell you not to leave the hut? You tried to escape again. There's no point. You cannot escape from here." The two brothers continued crying throughout the day. No matter how much the old woman scolded the younger brother or tried to convince him to stop crying, he kept repeating the same thing. "I want my mother. I want to go home." And another day passed like this. On the third day, the old woman told them, "Today, I'll be staying close to the house, so neither of you is allowed to leave this hut." With that, she left. But strangely, that day the old woman returned much later than usual. After 7 or 8 days had passed, the elder brother began to notice a pattern. Whenever the old woman said that she would stay nearby, she returned very late. And whenever she said she was going somewhere far away, she actually seemed to remain somewhere close to the hut. The elder brother realized that they would have to choose the right moment to escape. Then one day the old woman said, "Today, I'll be staying nearby. Neither of you is allowed to leave the hut." After saying this, she left. The moment she disappeared from sight, the two brothers rushed out of the hut. But when they looked around, they saw nothing but a vast, unfamiliar forest. There were trees everywhere. They had no idea where they were. The brothers chose one direction and began running as fast as they could. They kept running and running, trying desperately to get away. But no matter how far they ran, they somehow ended up back at the same small hut. They tried again. They ran in another direction. Yet once again, they somehow returned to the hut. They spent the entire day trying to escape. But whichever direction they took, they always found themselves standing near the same hut. Eventually, the brothers understood something terrifying. They could not escape unless the old woman allowed them to. When the old woman returned that evening, the two brothers stopped eating completely. They simply sat there crying continuously. Seeing their condition, something resembling pity finally arose in the old woman's heart. She looked at them and said, "Fine, I won't kill you. I'll let you go. I'll send you back." The brothers looked at her in disbelief. But then the old woman continued, "However, I cannot take you back myself. I brought you here using a particular method, but I cannot send you back using the same method, and taking you there myself is beyond my power. There is only one terrifying method by which you can leave this place. That is the only way I can send you back. There is no other way. But remember, you are only children. If anything goes wrong, even slightly, something terrible could happen." The elder brother immediately asked, "How will we get back? Please tell me. I'll be very careful." The old woman replied, "I will place you on a branch. You must simply sit on that branch. But remember one thing very carefully. Before the branch touches the ground, you must jump off. If, for any reason, the branch carrying you touches the ground before you get off, it will wrap itself around you like a giant snake and squeeze you. There will be no power on earth capable of saving you from that branch, because it is not an ordinary branch. It is something completely different. It is only through this branch that I can send you back." The elder brother listened carefully and finally said, "All right, please make the arrangements." The old woman nodded. "Sleep tonight. Tomorrow night, I'll arrange everything and send you both back." And with those words, the two brothers waited anxiously for the following night. "And I have given you my word. I will send you back. I promise I will. I will not kill you." That night, the two brothers went to sleep. The following day, they ate the food the old woman had given them. That night, the old woman returned carrying something very strange. It looked like a small tree or branch with 3 separate branches extending from it, one on either side and another toward the front. She placed the two brothers on 2 of the branches. The younger brother was placed on the branch at the front, while the elder brother sat behind him. The old woman explained that she had deliberately placed the younger brother in front so that, if he happened to fall asleep, the elder brother would still be able to grab him and jump off quickly when the time came. She then held the 3rd branch near her head and began saying something mysterious. "Go, take them away and return them to their place. Take them back to that mango orchard." Then she turned to the elder brother and repeatedly warned him, "Be careful. Remember what I told you. This tree will fly through the air. You don't need to close your eyes. Keep them open. Just watch carefully and pay attention to the moment the tree reaches the ground." The tree was not very tall. In fact, it was almost like a dwarf-sized tree. The branch on which the elder brother was sitting was only about a hand's length above the ground. That was why the old woman repeatedly warned him to jump off immediately with his younger brother. "Don't fall asleep," she told him. "A kind of magical illusion will surround you. You may become extremely sleepy. I'm afraid you might fall asleep. So be very careful. You will reach your destination very quickly. You may even be able to see the houses and the people below. Don't close your eyes." The old woman gave them this advice again and again, especially the elder brother. Perhaps, deep inside, the old woman had genuinely developed pity for the 2 children. And because of that feeling of compassion, she was attempting to do something that seemed impossible, to send the 2 boys back home. Then something extraordinary happened. The strange 3-branched tree began to rise into the air with the 2 brothers sitting on it. The elder brother could actually feel and see it happening. Within a very short time, he noticed that they had reached a populated area. Far below them, under the darkness of the night and the light of the moon, they could see houses scattered across the land. The tree wasn't flying extremely high in the sky. It was only slightly above the ground. But then something unexpected happened. Suddenly, the elder brother began feeling overwhelmingly sleepy. His eyes became incredibly heavy. The younger brother was experiencing the same thing. They tried desperately to keep their eyes open, but they could barely do it. And then, everything suddenly went dark. The brothers regained their senses when they felt the branches tightening around their bodies. There had been a sudden jolt. That jolt meant only one thing. The 3-branched tree had touched the ground. The shock brought both brothers back to their senses. They were still somewhat dazed, but they realized they had to get off immediately. However, before they could jump down, the three branches suddenly twisted around their bodies. The branches wrapped themselves tightly around the two brothers. They began screaming and crying for help. At that exact time, something else happened. Hasan and Hossain's father was asleep at home. Suddenly, he had a strange dream. In the dream, he saw his two sons inside the mango orchard. They were screaming desperately. It looked as though something was holding them captive. The dream was so disturbing that he suddenly woke up. A strange feeling of anxiety filled his heart. He kept thinking, "Why did I have such a dream?" He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Finally, he decided to go toward the mango orchard. He woke his wife and told her about the dream. "I had a strange dream about the boys. I want to go and check the mango orchard." His wife got up and went with him. One of them carried a hurricane lantern, while the other carried a flashlight. Together, they headed toward the mango orchard. As they got closer to the orchard, they suddenly heard something. It was the screams of their two sons. The parents immediately rushed toward the sound, and what they saw terrified them. A strange branch had wrapped itself around their two children and pinned them tightly against the ground. And slowly, the branch was beginning to squeeze them. The parents began screaming for help. Hearing their cries, people from the surrounding area rushed to the scene. Everyone began trying to rescue Hasan and Hossain. But then they discovered something truly bizarre. No matter how hard they tried, they could not cut the branch. They attacked it with sharp machetes and axes. But every time an axe struck the branch, the blade became completely blunt. Sometimes the sharp edge of the axe even broke. And even when they managed to cut a small portion of the branch, the damaged section somehow seemed to restore itself. It was as though the branch could repair itself. No matter what they did, they could not free the two children. Meanwhile, the branch continued tightening around them. Slowly, tighter and tighter. Morning arrived. By then, a large number of people had gathered to witness the horrifying scene. Everyone who came tried to help. Some people even recited long prayers and verses in an attempt to free the children. But nothing worked. Nobody could understand what kind of tree it was. Nobody knew where that strange branch had come from. And all the while, the branch continued holding Hasan and Hossain tightly, kept squeezing them harder and harder. It was almost like a giant snake wrapping itself around its prey before crushing its bones. The two children remained trapped inside the branches, crying and screaming. Their parents decided not to leave their children's side. They stayed there day and night. They ate their meals beside them. When they became hungry, they ate there. When they needed to attend to their basic needs, they did so there, and the parents cleaned everything afterward. But the pressure from the branch continued increasing. Eventually, the unimaginable happened. The two brothers died in front of their parents' eyes. Their mother and father watched helplessly as their children lost their lives. But even after the boys had died, something even more horrifying happened. The strange, enchanted branch did not release their bodies. Their dead bodies could not be removed. They remained trapped there. No animal or bird even came close enough to touch or eat the bodies. It was as if every living creature was afraid to approach them. The bodies remained exactly where they were. Over time, they gradually became part of the earth. Even the children's bones could not be separated from the strange branch. Eventually, the branch itself began to merge with the ground. Slowly, it disappeared beneath the soil. It began to dry out and become part of the earth. And according to the people who witnessed the incident, over time, the strange tree itself became part of the land. Around 2010, a storm reportedly uprooted what remained of the tree. The tree finally fell and dried up there, eventually becoming one with the earth. To this day, the story remains remembered as a strange and terrifying true incident. A story about two brothers who disappeared into a mysterious mango orchard and were never able to return home alive.